Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Are luxury bags over? This thought actually stemmed from one of you because you left a really good comment under a video that I did a short while ago where I went to Harrods before Christmas. And you left a comment and you said, I'll summarise, but you basically said, I love your videos still, but I'm not really into luxury anymore. And so although I enjoy watching, I wonder whether other people are also sort of getting a bit bored of luxury and whether it's having an impact on social media. And I would 1000% agree. I think it is. I have noticed that if I go back 5 to 10 years, definitely 5 years, the appetite for luxury on social media was really, really high. And I think everything hinges on one thing, which is prices. And I think if you go back 5 years, things were expensive, but they were like, you could do it. Now everything's just stupidly expensive, like it's not worth it expensive. And so I'm going to talk about some kind of thoughts I've got on this, but I would actually love to get your opinion in the comments. How are you feeling about luxury? Have you gone off it? Are you still wearing designer bags? Because there's like safety stuff going on as well right now. I want to get your opinion on it. So luxury bags, luxury in general, are we all kind of getting a little bit sick of it? I've noticed in the last 2 years, 2023, 2024, I feel like there is a new trend, and that new trend is moving away from designer and more towards life experiences and travel. And I see it, like I really feel as though a good barometer for viral trends is TikTok and Instagram. I don't really use TikTok, but I am on Instagram and I see a lot of the time the trends that people are moving to. And you see so many people putting up videos about how they're going on a trip somewhere, or I don't know whether you've seen, it's like a virally thing. Sorry, I have a piece of fluff on my nose. I don't know whether you've seen these videos where people board the flight with like a Birkin, and they'll put a caption saying, boarding the flight with my £10,000 Birkin, going to seat number 1000, basically because they're right at the back of the plane in economy. And lots of people kind of saving money on flights to put money into designer still, but very much focusing more on travel. And I think that this is definitely a thing. I noticed it even in myself back in 2023. When prices of designer goods started to rise beyond what I thought was fair and reasonable, my interests in life changed. And I don't know whether my interests in life changed just because I was getting older or whether it was actually to do with price rises. But I think for me, and I think for a lot of you, from what you're telling me, you are preferring to put your money towards memories as opposed to designer goods. So whether that is travel or whether it's like eating out, like one of my friends, every pet, like she doesn't mind me saying, I asked her, I've said it about her before, but for her, every penny that she spends goes on fine dining. That's her thing. She does travel, but she likes to go out with her partner and they go to the swankiest restaurants, and she'll do like £1,000 in one night on like a 10-course meal by some celebrity chef that's got like a load of Michelin stars. And that's her pleasure in life. And she is able to have those experiences and have those memories. And you know, in many ways, probably in like every way, I actually love when she tells me, oh, this is what that place was like, it's worth it, or no, it's not, or it was overpriced, or actually, yeah, it was really expensive, but it was really worth it. I actually really enjoy that conversation with her. Whereas if she just dropped a couple of grand on a bag and that was all she had to say about it, it wouldn't be such a good conversation. So I do think that maybe, I do feel like it's a trend. I feel like for a lot of us, our priorities in life are changing. And that could be because you're getting older, maybe you've got a family, maybe your job has changed, you know, all these different things going on in our lives. But I do feel like priorities are changing. Even when I see on social media, younger people in their early 20s, they're looking more at travel now as well. And that sort of bougie lifestyle, as opposed to dropping Like, one of my other friends actually said to me, because I was going to get something a while ago and it was like quite a lot of money, and he actually said to me, Sophie, that's a trip. We could go on a trip for that money. And I thought, you're absolutely right. And I didn't buy the item and I just saved the money. But I think this is like definitely a direction that we're all going in. Then also, I think there is a major thing going on here, and it's to do with safety. I can't speak for you, but for me personally, I am not using my really expensive bags now. Even bags that, okay, I'll give you an example. Chanel Classic Flap, don't use it. It's a risk for me. It's a big risk. It's not even a risk from a theft point of view on the street, but it's a risk from the point of damage. If I scuffed that bag or got dye transfer on it, because I've got the Classic Flap in a few sizes and colours that I bought back in the day when they were a lot less than what they are now. And it does make me think, oh, if I use that and I scuff it, I've just ruined the bag. And although I bought that bag for like 4K, it's now worth 10. And do I really want to risk ruining it? Not really. So I've got all these reasons why I'm not using these fancy bags. And do you know what I am using? I'm looking at them behind you. I'm using like Coach. I really like Fendi. Fendi's great because their bags, a lot of the bags they do are quite under the radar. They're very well made, but they're not as expensive as Chanel, and they still look really classic and put together, but they don't draw the attention that like Hermes draws on the street. They just don't draw that level of attention. I also really like Gucci. I like these brands that are just less, like more understated, as I say. And I do have so many of you saying to me the same thing, that I have loads of you actually saying that you've sold your collection. Like for me, some of you might have noticed that I've, in the last year, and I also did a video just recently saying about more bags I'm going to sell. But I have got, and it's a real privileged situation to be in, okay? I'm not saying it's not, but I've got a collection of bags that I adore. And every bag I buy has a story. I don't just blindly go and drop money on a bag. Every bag to me has a story in terms of that particular project is what I worked on to afford it, or this is why I bought it. It was for a memorable occasion. Do you see what I mean? There's always a story behind it. It's not just like, oh, that bag that I bought sometime a while ago and I don't really use it. Everything's got a story. And I am selling off a lot of my bags because I have bags I'm simply not using. And I have had some of you say, why are you buying stuff that you're not using? Do you know what, guys? It happens. Whether you go shopping at Zara and you do a big haul and you wear 20% of it and the rest sits in your wardrobe, or you buy a designer bag that for whatever your reason you don't end up using, maybe you don't want to damage it or it's too small, like that's one thing that I've stopped doing now. I always fit my stuff in bags before I buy them, and if the stuff doesn't fit, I don't buy the bag. But there's all these different reasons why I've decided to sell things, and safety is one of them. If I don't feel safe with a bag and I know I'm not going to carry it for that reason, I'm going to sell it. It's gone. It's gone. I'm not going to hoard things that I'm not going to use. The only exception to that rule is my Chanel Classic Flap, which I am keeping because for me it's an investment piece. And if I ever need money in my life, I know that I can sell that and get several £1,000s out of that bag, and actually make a profit over what I bought it for. And that bag is basically brand new. I've used it probably for dinner a couple of times and I really haven't used it at all. So it's in beautiful condition and I intend to keep it that way. But that's the kind of bag that I would keep, but all of the others, if I'm not using them, they're going. And then finally, I feel like the underpinning reason behind why it is that I feel like designer bags are on their way out, I feel like it's because these brands have got so greedy with their prices. When you look at how much these brands are commanding, honestly guys, like I really like designer stuff, but I looked at a hat the other day and it was just like a bucket hat. I won't say the brand, but it was a bucket hat. And it was very, very cute, and you could get matching gloves with it. And I thought, oh my God, that's so cute. Like, if you'd seen it, guys, oh, it was dreamy. It was just the sweetest little set, this bucket hat and these gloves for winter. And I thought, oh, I'm going to go and check them out. But what I do is I always like, before I bust myself getting into Harrods to go and look at it, I like to know how much it is online first. So I look it up. Do you know the hat was over £1,000 for a bucket hat? And the gloves were the same price, £1,100 for a pair of gloves. A pair of gloves. Gloves and a hat, over £2,000 for gloves and a hat. Are you joking? Who's making up these prices? Because these prices are literally fiction now. They're an absolute joke. Like, you go and look at something that's average made in terms of its quality. If you're going to charge me £1,000 for a hat, a bucket hat, that hat needs to look like it's worth £1,000, and no hat looks like it's worth £1,000. I'm sorry, no hat out there looks like it's worth that. Certainly not this particular one. If you told me, if you wore that hat and you told me, Sophie, I got it off the market stall and it's fake, because the fakes are really good now, I'd believe you. And this is what I'm saying is I think for most of us, we've reached a point where we're like, no, you're having a laugh. You are actually having a joke with us in terms of how much you think we are going to cough up for this stuff. I do think the middle classes are particularly targeted. And I think as well, particularly in the UK, everyone's being quite squeezed in terms of cost of living. And I don't think everyone has the money that they did 5 to 10 years ago. And I think that this is another thing. You've got that combination of ridiculous price rises crossed with the fact that people have less money in their pockets. And there are brands such as Burberry and there are a few others. I was reading about this the other day. Burberry have admitted that they think their decline has actually been to do with greedy price rises. They've admitted that. They've said, yep, we've seen a decline in sales and there are many different reasons for it, but one of them is probably that we went too high with how much we were charging for things. People aren't willing to pay it. You know, you go into some of these boutiques, they're empty. People aren't willing to pay the money. And when it is busy, are sales as strong as they were 5 to 10 years ago in terms of the volume of people buying? I don't know. I'm not so sure. But they're my thoughts, and I would love to get your thoughts on this. How are you feeling about designer bags? Are you loving and enjoying what you've got and you're not intending on buying any more? Are you still tempted by designer bags, or are you not? Are you spending your money on other things? If so, what? If you don't mind sharing. I would just love to get your thoughts on this. And what is it, if you're over designer bags, what did it for you? Was it the price rises? Was it a change in your lifestyle? Maybe you had kids and suddenly your priorities changed. All of these things, let me know, let me know. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the comments below.